Hi guys. There were some questions about what exactly can be done with the post-node racing plugin. So I just kind of want to throw together this video to show, what kind of functionality is present and how it might differ a little bit from some of the existing plugins. In my case, I've used it to modify Lovely Dashboard. So I'm working on a version of 2.5.2 that I've heavily customized. So a lot of the UI elements are still very much what was produced by the Lovely Dashboard developer. But some of the data that is being populated by these widgets is coming from the post-node racing plugin instead of SimHub. And that combination has really worked well for me. And so I'm just kind of creating this video to show exactly what can be done, be it making your own dashboard or modifying something. So the first thing you'll see is this telemetry screen. So one thing it can do is it can average a number of laps. So you can see this N laps is set to 5, and then there's also a bind, so you can change that on the fly. So I'm pushing a button on my Hybrid P1 right now, and you can see it goes 6, 7, 8, go the other way down to 5, 4, 3, 2. And so now if we play this replay and fast forward a little bit, we'll see this last 5 number start to populate as we start turning laps. So there's lap 1, they equal obviously because there's only one lap done. Lap 2 is complete, and now you start to see that averaging taking place. Another thing you'll see on the screen is reset best laps. What that does is, kind of what it sounds like. It resets your best laps. So if we go to this screen, the plugin is using your best lap to calculate both your estimated and your deltas. And there may be situations where you want to reset that due to changing track conditions. Maybe it's gone from a dry session to a wet session and you don't want to chase your old delta, or similarly, maybe your car's taking damage, so you can't achieve those times anymore, and you're looking to just reset things. So if you click that bind, you'll see it gets zeroed out, and then your next lap will be a best lap. Another feature is this enable gap calculations via mini sectors. What this is doing is it's using information from your last lap or your best lap to determine gaps to players around you, both relative, so on your relative screen, and then also on, for example, a standing screen. So these guys that are 30 seconds ahead of me, 46 seconds behind me, we're still using those same gaps. So these are fairly stable numbers in my experience compared to the SimHub numbers. So if we turn this off, I think we'll get quite a bit more variation, as you can see almost immediately. It's pretty obvious that these numbers are fluctuating quite a bit more than we're seeing with this calculation turned on. Under the utility, so these are kind of some generic utility properties that can be used inside Dash Studio. In my case, I'm using this toggle to switch between best and last. So right now this is showing us our best lap. If I press this, it's on my steering wheel, you can't see me do it, but if I press my bind, I can switch back and forth between last 5 and best. So that's one thing you can use these booleans for. I also have these integer properties. So this one allows me to scroll, integer 1 allows me to scroll through my standings widget. So if I navigate to the standings widget, we can see right now it's set to 1 through 9, and if I modify that value, I can scroll through the standings widget. Another feature I've implemented with these integers is related to this widget here. So right now it's set to track components, so we're seeing the players in front of me and behind me. So these are GT3 cars, and it's showing relative gap. If I go to class opponents, it's now showing player in front of me and player behind me in class, and this is it. It looks like it's relative gap because they are also on my relative, but this is technically overall gap. So sometimes this may see like +1 lap, +2 laps, -1 lap, -2 laps, depending on how big that delta is. And then another feature is freeze opponents. So this looks like similar data just because of how close they are, but what you can do with this is look up specific players that are in front of behind you. So like if I were to pit right now, I may want to keep an eye on these two guys to see how that gap is changing on the out lap and in lap. So like maybe I'm going to pit 5 laps earlier than them, or they're going to pit 5 laps earlier than me. Maybe I want to keep an eye on those guys because they may be the people I'm fighting for in position, even if we're not occupying the same place on track at that exact moment. So I'm able to keep an eye on those, and the way that works is I'm storing their car number, and then I'm able to look up things about them based on car number. So if we go to available properties, we can see so based on all their car numbers, 32 cars in this particular race, I'm keeping track of all of their leaderboard positions. So if we look at our available properties, just to kind of show all the things that can be gathered from this, so we have best lap colors, best lap times, and lap averages, all those usual things. I'll speed it up to collect some data real quick. So that there we start to see some of this data populate. So yeah, best lap colors, best lap times, all the usual sorts of things, class indexes, class colors, car numbers, various deltas, various estimateds, different gaps, grid position, so that's your starting position. So you're able to do stuff like this accurately. Intervals, iRating changes, licenses, laps completed and laps license color, live positioning. So yeah, that's something we didn't talk about, but the plugin has live positioning. So as you pass people in iRacing, as SimHub isn't reporting that in real time because iRacing isn't reporting it in real time. But this plugin is doing those calculations. So if I were to pass 6th or 5th or something, maybe we can fast forward real quick to see if. So G Armstrong I think is going to get passed here pretty quick. So right now, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So there, so EA Layton just passed G Armstrong. Live positions gained, like I mentioned, relative laps, some team data, so team iRating. So yeah, so team, so we have team best laps and we have driver best laps. So I think SimHub recently pushed out a solution to this, but this plugin is also keeping track of driver best laps. So if you get in a car in a team event on iRacing, you won't be chasing a teammate's best lap time, which was something that did happen in team events at one point in time. So yeah, so that's so there's these drivers properties. There's also like properties about classes. So obviously we have all these leaderboard positions that I'm keeping track of, but also there's some things like strength of field strings, opponent counts, and things like that that can be used to build these dashes, along with some other miscellaneous properties that I haven't covered. So yeah, hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the things that can be done with this plugin, and how it might be a little bit different from some of the other things that are already out there.